graduated at the University of Pretoria and has worked in the public health sector and now in the private health sector as well. I have been given a mandate to talk about self-care in healthcare professionals, a little bit of the strategies of what we can do in order to take care of ourselves, both physically and mentally, and also the relationships that we have around, because we've seen that quite a lot we are working almost every single day of our lives, and we get less time to actually interact with ourselves in terms of checking in on how mentally we're doing, physically keeping up with not being tired, not being fatigued, and being healthy overall, as well as maintaining relationships that we have with our loved ones. Let's start with a little bit of a background. I'm an audiologist who is fortunate enough to work 5 times a week, 8 hours a day, and I get to rest on Saturdays and Sundays, right? Which is great, perfect. But then the predicament that I was in was that I was traveling to and from work, right? And that took almost another 4-6 hours of my day, which totals up to the fact that I was out of my home for more than 12 hours in a day. And the rest of the other 12 hours, you are preparing for work. You are looking after the kids, because I'm a mom, I'm a wife. I have to do my wifely duties, and I need to rest as well. And there was no time to do that at all. And then another thing came up where I found out I was pregnant 2-3 months into my concept year, and that took a toll on my body as well. So now it was a distance, it was the hours of working, and now it was the fact that I am pregnant and my body is doing a lot to keep up with the demands of pregnancy. And I just didn't have any time at all to take care of myself or to even think of self-care. I love that we are now in an age where we can go on TikTok, on Instagram, all of the social media platforms, and everyone describes self-care in a different way, right? But the fact that self-care is being a priority in a lot of people's lives, that is life-changing. Is it a priority in healthcare professionals at the moment? We are trying. We are not there yet, because a lot of what is demanded from us is what we can give out to people and not necessarily what we can get into ourselves, right? So not a lot is being invested in us being okay, but a lot is being invested in us being able to give of ourselves to others and perform at our best and smile and respond in a professional manner, conduct yourself in a manner that doesn't allow people to disregard you or put your profession into disrepute. So a lot is being poured into what we can give out instead of what we can give in. With all of the demands of our job, we then get stressed and we then get burnt out. So stress leads to burnout, right? And there is a psychoanalyst who came up with the word burnout in the 1970s, who is Friedenberger. And he said that burnout is work-related stress syndrome that results from chronic exposure to job stress. When we start getting stressed at work, it then leads to decreased productivity, right? And decreased productivity leads to you questioning yourself on whether you are valuable in this job position, if whether you are still needed here. Why am I not being competent, and all of those things? And now you're starting to overthink your capability of doing the job because you are so tired and stressed, but you do not know what to do in order to improve that. And then you lead to the fact that you are burnt out because you are starting to work harder to try and compensate for the fact that you haven't been so great in the past few weeks or months. But thing is, we do not understand that when healthcare workers start being burnt out, it then affects other things negatively. What are those things? So you start, personally, you may start using substances in order to keep up. You may start having difficulties maintaining relationships because they require so much from you and you cannot give that off. Or you may start being suicidal because you feel like you are inadequate, and why are you not being able to keep up with other people, but they are able to keep up. There's also professional consequences to burnout, which is lower patient satisfaction, impaired quality of care, and then medical errors and potentially ending up in malpractice suits. So let's understand burnout. So Freudenberger summarized it in a nice way, where initially he did a 12-stage model of understanding how burnout starts and then evolves, and then he then simplified it into a 5-stage model, right? So stage 1, he would say the simplified version. Stage 1, he said it was the honeymoon phase, where you're just starting out at work, everything is good, everything is rosy, you are passionate, enthusiastic, you are ready to go and work, okay? And then it leads to stage 2, whereby it's the onset of stress, right? You feel like everything is stagnant, things are not moving, or you are used to the way things are going, and it's no longer as enthusiastic as before. Now it's like, oh, I wake up, I go to work, I come back, that's it. I do my job, I eat, I drink coffee, that's it. Whatever routine that you have at work, it starts being stagnant and boring according to you. And then we get to stage 3, where you become frustrated and you get to chronic stress, where I often say, I feel like at this point I'm chronically tired, because I was chronically tired, especially this year, because that's when I started my sessional post, but then I was doing other things on the side, and now everything was becoming a lot for me. And I would tell them that I am starting to feel like I'm chronically tired, I'm currently fatigued, because every single time a person were to ask, how are you doing today? I'm like, I'm tired. Every single day I was tired. And that's where the frustration comes in, that okay, I'm used to this thing, but am I okay with being used to this thing? What's making it difficult for me to enjoy being here, and for me to do my job, and for me to want to work harder, to want to prove myself, to want to give my patients the best, and all of that. I know I love my job, I know I'm passionate about my job, but what's happening? And then you start being frustrated with yourself, and that is the chronic stress part. So you are in stage 3 at that point. And then he says stage 4 is when the burnout happens, right? And now you have apathy, and in that case you're starting to lose your passion, right? You're starting to lose your passion, you no longer feel up to it. Like, I could just even leave at this point, like it doesn't matter anymore. When a patient comes, it's just like, I've seen that before. Like, there's nothing interesting anymore, because we find interest, right, in the cases that we see, and we're interested to discuss and all of those things. And now you're just like, yeah, that happened, and what's next, you know? And that's when the burnout is starting to set in. It's the acute phase. It's just starting to happen, right? And that is the physical exhaustion that has been building up since stage 2, when the stress started coming in, and now it's building up and gaining momentum, and you get to stage 5, where you're habitually burnt out and you're used to it, and there's no problem, and you feel like that is the new normal for you, until you then start to feel the implications that it has on your mental health, on your emotional status, and as well as physically. And when I say physically, I emphasize that a lot, because emotionally, mentally, I personally do not show that I am going through a lot mentally. So a lot of people tend to not see that there's something going on, and I ignore it as well, because no one sees it. Like, I'll deal with it when I deal with it. And in the past month, I have been dealing with gastric issues. My stomach was going through a lot. I know there was a bug out there going around and people had stomach issues, but I then started noticing that whenever I was anxious about going back to work, I would get this rush of a stomach. I would get diarrhea all the time. And when I was not in that state, I was completely fine. And that's where the physical manifestation of burnt out and stress comes from, because you think it would be maybe the normal headaches, or your body is just aching and all of that, but it can actually manifest in different ways that a lot of people ignore. And then in his initial diagram of explaining the 12-stage model, right, of development of burnout, he said that in the beginning you have the compulsion to prove yourself. You want to work hard, you want to neglect your own needs because you have this urge of saying, I want to compensate for the fact that I feel like I'm tired, I feel like I'm lacking, I'm not doing as well. I told my colleague the other day that I do not feel like I am giving you my all, and that is making me not want to be here anymore. And I am taking this decision with an open mind for sure, because I've noticed that I am burnt out, but also now that I've thought about it, it's not just an act. I am trying my best to try and give you my best, but it's not happening. And I went through those stages of having a compulsion to prove myself, to work harder, and neglecting myself, whereas it was affecting me. And then he goes back to say this displacement of conflict, whereby you start fighting with people, but it's actually not from what they did, but how you feel. And the revision of values, you no longer know what you value, or if certain things are important to you or not. And then you are in denial of problems that are emerging. As I was saying, I do not mind. I am in denial of how my mental health is at a point in time. But when physically I started reacting, that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm not okay. And then you start to withdraw because you feel like you are not giving your best to the people that actually need you. And your behavior changes. Your behavior, a tired person cannot be happy. They are pretending, and they are pretending very big. But if you know them through and through, you will see that they are not okay. And you depersonalize things. When patients start coming through, you no longer have that empathy, that sympathy, the feeling, the compassion feeling that you used to have. You no longer have it because nothing is personal. Like, it happened, okay, bye. You no longer have that thing in you to interact with a human being and have that connection with your patients. And then it leads to you being empty. You feel like you're empty, and then it leads to what? Depression. And at that point, that's where you are habitually burnt out, but you need intervention. So you've gotten used to it, but you need intervention, because outside of that, you then are not doing well at all. And for you to know where to go and what to do, you need to know where it started. There's this article by Stefan de Hert that tells you the external factors and the internal factors of what could have been contributed to the burnout. You can go through that article and it will tell you exactly. But one of the examples are high demands at work, problem of leadership, time pressure, bad atmosphere, lack of freedom to do decisions, poor hierarchy, pressure from superiors, and all of that, right? You have to find what it is to you that is an external factor that contributed to you being burned out. And then there's internal factors that you have high self-expectations of how you would perform in your job, perfectionism, a strong need in order to be recognized, overestimation to deal with challenges, suppressing your own needs, feeling irreplaceable, always wanting to please other people. So you have to find what that thing is that is making you want to work so hard in order to prove yourself, leading you to be burnt out and stressed and having all of these physical and mental manifestations that are telling you that you need to take a break. You need to give yourself a little bit of care, a little bit of love. We talked about Friedenberg's model, right? 12-stage model and the 5-stage model, but there's so many other models that talk about burnout and stress and all of those things in job related things, right? And others are like the job demand control model, which you can look at, as well as the effort reward imbalance model, right, which then explains to the fact that you are putting in so much effort. Are you getting the same reward, or is it imbalanced? And that's what can also lead to burnout and stress in the workplace. So we've talked all symptoms, manifestations, why it's important to do self-care and all of that. But now, practically, what can you do, right? You know, you have to look at the fact that what's stressing you, all of those things, but practically, what can you do to give yourself self-care in a realistic way or in a realistic environment that you are in, right? First of all, let's start at work. At work is where we spend most of our time at. We cannot deny that we would love to do self-care at our homes, but healthcare workers, most of them, do not have the time to do all of that at home. So let's start at work. At work, what can you do that can assist you to be able to fully function but still be sane and feel like you still have control over yourself? First of all, take your lunch, right? Take your lunch. If you have a tea break, take your tea break. We know people do not like healthcare professionals taking their lunch or being out for like a longer period of time according to them, which most of the time is like 30 minutes to an hour. We never take more than that. So take it. Explain to them that I have been up since the AMs. I need to eat, or else I will not be able to see you as a fully functional person. Can I please take my lunch, and then I'll be able to see you a lot quicker or whatever when you get back to them, right? That is a form of self-care. That 30 minutes, that 1 hour, you get to listen to music if you love music, if you like drawing, if you like journaling, writing, you are able to do that. You are nourishing your body because you've been burning the calories and everything throughout the day, and your body needs an assistance, right? So you're assisting your body to be able to carry you through another 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours of the day. You get to sit down, you get to rest. We are all up on our feet the whole entire time. You get to sit down, chat with your colleagues, laugh a bit, be able to express other things, talk about your family, talk about the next thing that you're doing, talk about your studies. That helps in order to build up the enthusiasm to then go back into your work and start doing your job again. Go to the trainings, go to team building, go outside of your normal environment. You are still working, but go outside of your normal environment. If there is an opportunity for you to do something else at a point in time, do that so that you recuperate yourself from that environment that has now become a habitual place, and then you go to another environment that will give you new ideas, that will spark new joy, that will spark new conversations, and then you are able to bring it back to your normal environment and then share that with the people that you left behind. So go out, do other things, be in other environments. Ask for help. In our workspaces, if you're in a healthcare setting, you are able to go and look for a psychologist. We have our wellness centers for people who are working in the healthcare space. Go to the wellness clinic, tell them that you're not okay, you need assistance with this and this and this. Go to the psychologists, consult them, ask them what you can do. And lastly, never take work home. Never take work home. It doesn't matter what is happening, what is going on. Never take work home. Go home, you will look at what was happening yesterday, tomorrow when you get there. That will give you so much peace of mind. As an audiologist, we work with tinnitus, right? And that's the ringing in the ear sound, and it cannot be cured. It will always be there. It's just going to be there, and that causes a lot of stress for our patients, right? And because there is no cure for it, and sometimes it happens without us being able to give intervention like hearing aids, we then give them strategies, and those strategies include taking care of yourself in terms of what you eat. So dietary changes, lessening your sodium, lessening your caffeine, walking, exercising, all of those things. So I recommend that. That is a good stress reliever, and also it helps your body to help itself, nutrition wise. And then we talk about mindfulness and meditation. So what we do in that regard, we tell them to do meditation exercises, whether from YouTube or something like that, and to also practice mindfulness. So mindfulness is a type of meditation where you are focusing on being aware of where you are in space and what you're feeling and sensing at that time and moment without anyone influencing it, right? So you sit on your own. We have an app where you can do all of those things, right? It doesn't only work for tinnitus, but it can also work for another person who wants exercises that are meant for mindfulness and meditation. So that is the Widex Zen Therapy app that one can use for meditation. It tells you how many minutes to stay in that position, what position to stay in, if you want to go in nature, where you can go, and all of those things, as well as how to do meditation in a way that will help you feel better afterwards. So breathing methods, guided imagery, and other practices, right, that help to reduce stress. So I'll give a practical example of how you would do the relaxation exercises, right? It's nice that I'm coming from a different perspective instead of the normal mindfulness meditation exercises, but I'm coming from a tinnitus related exercise that helps everyone. It's just directed at patients that have tinnitus, right? So you sit on a comfortable chair or an exercise mat, so a yoga mat. Make sure that the environment is quiet and free from distractions. So you would love to do this when no one is around, the house is all to yourself, and then wear loose, comfortable clothing so that you are able to not feel like you are being congested or claustrophobic or anything like that. So the first one that we're going to do is the progressive muscle relaxation, right? So the progressive muscle relaxation is an exercise in which you tense your muscles and then you actively and consciously release them while you are breathing deeply. So you are being mindful of what you are doing to your muscles, right? So this helps you understand how your muscles feel when they're tensed up, and when you can then start feeling that I'm about to get stressed out, because you would then feel your neck tighten or tense, or your back tighten or tense, because you've done the exercise before, you know how your body feels when it tenses up and then when it relaxes, and you are able to control that in a situation when it happens. You are able to then tense yourself down. So start from your head going all the way down. So work on a certain group of muscles and then do all the way down. So you might start on your head or start here by your chest. Whatever muscle that you can tense up, you can then start there and then gradually increase to other muscles. You will take a deep breath over a span of 8 seconds. Tighten those muscles that you chose and then release the muscles suddenly while slowly breathing out. Repeat the above steps with your neck, your shoulders, your chest, stomach, your arms, and your legs, right? And then feel how they tense and how they release. And when you've completed all of the muscle groups, then you relax for 10 to 15 seconds, and then you can repeat if you want to, right? But you shouldn't be doing it more than 5 minutes. Okay, then when you finish the whole exercise, count to 20, get up slowly, breathe in, and then breathe out. Another popular one is deep breathing, right? So what deep breathing helps with is it decreases stress, it lowers your blood pressure, and it improves your well-being in terms of being able to handle when you're anxious or when you're in a depressive state, right? So it acts as a signal to your brain to relax, which then reduces how you then respond to stressful environments around you. So now what we're going to do is you're going to exhale completely through your mouth and inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for the 4 seconds and exhale through your mouth 6 to 8 seconds, and repeat this cycle 20 times. So make sure that when you're breathing from your stomach so that you can feel it, right? And not just. And then we do guided imagery. Guided imagery is when you imagine yourself in a very relaxing environment. It has been proven to show some relaxation, decrease stress, and lower blood pressure, right? So you keep your eyes closed, sit in a position that you prefer, either the yoga position or just straight out your legs, whatever feels comfortable. Keep your eyes closed after finishing the deep breathing exercise, and then continue deep breathing if you can throughout this guided imagery exercise. Imagine that you are in the most relaxing environment. Other people would say an environment that you love to be in, or an environment that reminds you of nice times, of beautiful times, of where you would love to go at some point, or where you went before and how you felt at that moment. And try to imagine all of your senses of what it feels like to be in this environment. So imagine the smell, the sound, the feel on your skin, the taste if applicable, if you were eating, how it tasted like. And then you can then play other sounds. So with tinnitus, we advise them to play sounds in the background so that it doesn't bother them that much. So you can choose if it's waves, ocean waves, you can listen to ocean waves. If it's complete silence, do complete silence. And when you've finished, count to 20 and slowly get up. So you can do that for as long as you want to. If you feel like being in that environment for a whole 10 minutes, be in that environment for a whole 10 minutes. Please remember that if you do not take care of yourself, no one is going to take care of you. No one is going to ask you every single day of their life how you are doing in a more deeper level. Everyone is going to say it superficially. No one is going to say, now that you have these physical issues like your GI tract is going, what's going on, how are you dealing with it? No one is going to ask you that. You have to be in charge of what you are doing and how you are feeling and what helps you. once you get in touch with yourself in that manner, that you get used to checking up on yourself, and if you're a journaling person, that is one great way to check up on yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, do all of those things and be able to then notice when something is not going well and when you need help from other people. Because with mental health, you might struggle to recognize and also even address your mental health issues when you start noticing that you are getting worried about things way before they happen, or that you get scared out of the blue, or that you have to prepare yourself every single time you have to speak to someone. It becomes a problem, and then you are able to notice that I was never like that before, but now I'm doing that so much that it is my new normal. Is it something I'm willing to live with, or is it something that I need assistance with? And you are able to then recognize and address that something is going on, and you are able to go to a psychologist for assistance. Physical health also helps, because as I had said before, that we usually tell our tinnitus patients to also do dietary changes. What you eat affects how you feel, right? If you've been eating junk food so many times, it might not be what the junk food is doing to your body, but you knowing that I am eating too much junk affects how you think and feel about yourself. So making a few dietary changes gets you so excited that I ate muesli today, I ate fruits today, I drank water today, even though the manifestations of it physically have not appeared, but you feel great on the fact that I achieved this today, nutrition wise. And exercise is such an important thing. As a healthcare worker, you are exercising mainly because you are up and down the hospital, the clinic, the whole entire day. But there is something that your mind does when it recognizes the determination, the resilience that you have when it comes to going to the gym or doing a particular exercise that you said you were going to do on a particular day. So the discipline, it does something to your brain, it does something to how you feel. And then sleep. As I said, we are working so much that the only thing that you want to do when you come back from work is sleep. But are you able to sleep? No, because why? Your body is so tired that it doesn't know what to do with that tiredness, that you end up getting energetic instead. But sleep is so important. We underestimate the fact that we should be sleeping 8 hours a day. If you have to plan it out, plan it out. If you do not fall asleep fast, plan out that I will go to bed at this particular point in time so that I'm asleep by this point in time. And then I know that by the time I wake up, I have covered a whole full 8 hours of sleep. If not, get a strategy of how you can catch up. Of how you can catch up on your sleep so that you are able to reap the full benefits of what sleep does to your body and what it can help in terms of stress and the burnout and the anxiety and the depression and the fatigue. So we have seen on social media now that meal prepping is a big thing. So in order to stay on top of your nutrition, try meal prepping. If that doesn't work for you, try packing whatever that you ate last night for lunch so that you avoid buying something that you were not planning to buy, or eat a type of food that you were not planning to eat because you're so busy and you just want to eat something. So I would say look into meal prepping in terms of staying on top of your needs. Gauge what time you are more productive. Do you want to exercise in the morning? Do you want to exercise at night? Do you want to exercise during your lunchtime? What do you want to do? Take your gym bag in your car to work so that it makes it easier for you to then go out and exercise and be able to fulfill that commitment to yourself. plan out your days, plan out your weeks. If you can plan out your months, do that as well, so that you know what to expect at a particular day or month, right? So that you are not caught by surprise, and whatever happens extra, you are able to account for it and allocate for it, so that you feel in control of your time, and that you are able to do things that you've always wanted to do, instead of saying, I do not have the time. If it's in your diary, it's in your calendar, you can shift things around as long as you know that you have the time to do so. It's so stressful to not know if you are going to be needed for 30 minutes somewhere, but you might double book yourself, or you're not sure. So it's rather that you have everything planned out, so that if anything needs to be shifted or moved, you are able to do that without having to worry. Build a support system. Other people's colleagues at work are there for a particular purpose, right? You can vent to them regarding certain issues, and then you have friends, and those friends also are there for different purposes, where this one you can vent about finances, this one you can vent about emotional things, this one you can vent about your marriage or your relationship or whatever. So create those systems of people that you know that they are equipped, firstly, to be able to control that those types of situations, and also they will be able to help you in that regard, and also you are there for them in a capacity that they need, and you are also able to give of yourself in that way. In long term, self-care is a work in progress. It's something that you build on every day, that you deal with every day. It may not work every single day, but if you have it at the back of your mind that I should have went to the gym today, or I should have drank a smoothie that I wanted to drink today, or I should have read this book at this time, or I should sleep. That's you have it at the back of your mind. It's a work in progress until it becomes a habit. It's something that you should do every single day, and if you miss a day, that's fine. Just know that you are not missing a day due to other people dictating on how you should spend your time, but you know that, okay, I missed that day, I will recover on the specific day, and that's how you work on it in the long term. And as I had said, put down in writing, so your calendar, that everyone who sees it knows that Refiloe is off at 4 p.m. You cannot disturb her at this time, because whatever she's doing it for herself. Afterwards, she will be at your service, no problem, but at that time, do not disturb her, so that everyone knows what to expect and what to do at those times like that. Okay, thank you very much. It was a pleasure for me to give you this webinar. I hope you have learned a lot. I hope you have reflected yourself a lot, and that it helps you to understand that yes, you are in the business or space of helping other people, but you cannot help other people if you do not help yourself. We pour what we have, and if you are depleted most of the time, then you won't be able to pour into other people the way that you initially wanted to. Okay, thank you very much.